One. Welcome, everyone, to Stories Across the Table podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona, co host. Don't want to forget my co host because she's the most wonderful person I've met. And my guest even edified that before the show. Bridget Cook Birch. Welcome.
Welcome. I'm excited to be here, and I cannot wait to introduce our guest for today. He is an incredible, indelibly imprinted on your soul kind of friend to have. So, Steve Cohen, we're so excited to have you here with us today.
It's great to be with both of you, especially on a Friday afternoon as summer approaches, right? Just a great time.
Living in San
Absolutely.
Diego. God bless you.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's do our gratitude before we start. Today's gratitude for today, not only our guest, but this card. Everything you do with excellence. Your passion and dedication are truly inspiring. It should say Stephen Cohen under this card because it's amazing. I just pull these randomly. This is our guest, isn't it, Bridget?
Oh, absolutely. And Steve, you have many years of incredible history, but here's what our viewers and our listeners would like to know about you. If we were to meet you on the street and you knew that we were just going to become fast friends,
Mm.
what would people need to know about you? What are the stories that make you you?
Well, I really think that it's not my 50 years as a television newsman. It's not all the accolades, the awards, and all the other things that I've been so fortunate to accumulate over all these years. I really think it's the beginning. I really think it's where I grew up. I grew up in Philadelphia in a post World War II environment in a little row house. The block I grew up on was 36 row houses on one side and 36 on the other. 72 houses. That was my world. In a street that was 20 feet wide. And that neighborhood and what I learned there is everything I am today at 79 was there. Camaraderie, listening to other people, getting beaten up, being at war for the things you believed in. I spent most of my early life as a young Jewish boy fighting. I don't mean fighting verbally, I mean fighting. Actually defending ourselves and our community, letting people know that we thought we mattered, that we needed recognition. And through that process, this thing that we call soul ensues. It emerges. It comes out of you. You can't consciously call on your soul to talk to you. It has to come to you. It talks to you because it wants to talk to you. And that's what I carried out of the streets of Philadelphia into the boardrooms, the newsrooms of America. So when I moved from there into the boardrooms of America, and I'm talking about New York City, Los Angeles, Boston, Detroit, I was lucky as a young man to actually be in the places where the world was changing in front of us. And my job was to explain it to the people I was serving. Now, can you think of, when you talk about gratitude, of a gift from an ineffable force more than that? To be touched on the shoulder to say, this is your mission, man. The world is changing, and you are the interlocutor between what's happening out there and what the folks you're talking to are going to get. And so if I'm talking to that guy on the street, that's what I'm saying is, where are we? But more importantly, where are you? Where am I? Because at the end of the day, all of those things that we think we're about, we're not. What we're about is answering the fundamental questions of who am I? Why am I here? And what purpose do I have in life? If in fact the purpose is just to get up every morning and be in life. But, and this is the most important point to me, to that guy I met on the street, how aware are you of the moment you're in and using that moment to gratify your soul?
Mm.
Because every moment we use that pulls us away from who we are or who we're trying to become is a moment that's lost. These moments are about, I like to say it this way, sewing up the gap between who we are and who we want to be. There's a gap. We all have it. And at certain times in our life, there's not much of a gap. You fall in love, you get married, life is great, your children come, right? And the gap between, where you want to be, you sort of feel like, I'm there. I got this. But then what happens? The gap gets
Right.
widened because the circumstances of life, what I call the forces come in and get you. And so, like, let's say I'm in New York City and I don't have a weekend anchor man. And there's this young guy in Boston that I know. And I say, his name's Bill O'Reilly. You know who he is?
Oh, yeah.
I say, hey, Billy, why don't you come work for me? We've known each other for a few years. Give it a shot. It's New York. He said, I live in Boston. I love Boston. Why would I leave that? And so that's where that gap, you use all of that power to say, hey, you got this. You can do this. Sure, you're a tough guy. Sure, you're mouthy. Sure, you have so what? I can put up with, right? I can put up with you. So Bill comes to work for me in 1979, and he's been my friend all these years in New York. Or I'll give you another example, Steve. You were asking me to tell some stories. One of my favorites is there's a young girl in Providence, Rhode Island, doing reporting. Little thing, but beautiful looking. Her name is Meredith Vieira. I say, Meredith, you're in Providence. I'm in New York. This is your shot. How about it? And the process you go through to convince people that this is their moment or that their aspirations can be larger. You sort of have to be willing to give that, right? You have to say, let's do this. Or one of my wonderful friends, lifelong friends, a young man named Lester Holt. You know who Lester is?
Oh, yeah.
So Lester Holt was doing WCBS radio. Never thought about television. He was like 23. And I sat with him and a buddy of his at an Italian restaurant. I don't think he'd ever had Italian food before. And it was called Patsy's on 50, I think it was 54th Street on the West Side. And it's a well-known place. Like Frank Sinatra and all those types of people go in there. And he's sitting there and I'm watching him eat. I think it was, I don't know, it's probably chicken parmesan, some sort of standard fare. And it was like he had gone to heaven. So you just imagine a 23-year-old African-American gentleman trying to figure his life out. And I'm exposing him to this, Italian American.
This lovely Jewish man is exposing him for the first time to the delicacies of Italian food. How incredible.
I think what's interesting about those stories, all of them, those three, is that you don't know what it is that when you're with people, that is the button that you press that opens the door to who they are. And therefore, and this is the hard part, especially for guys like me that have been in charge of stuff, how do you find the button? How do you reach people? And sometimes it's chicken parmesan, and sometimes it's walking down the streets, 57th Street, and being in awe that you're in Manhattan. Or for me, and this is crazy, I know your viewers will love this. For me, it's at 79 deciding to run for the United States Congress. I mean, you go like, okay, now that's not real. Come on, Cohen. I mean, you really have to add that to you have to put that in your resume. I mean, do you even have a resume? Your resume is a book. I mean, screw the resume, So you said, no.
Your resume has several books. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Right.
I have several under your belt.
No, right. I have written a few memoirs and a bunch of other things, but I think my point is that you don't know where it's taking you, but if you're open to it, perhaps you can get there. And then there's, I always feel that particularly in this congressional thing, I wasn't like I had strong feelings because I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not a rancorous person in terms of my general personality, right? I'm not a finger pointer or a yeller or a screamer. And by the way, I don't think that's the way you get to truth. I think that the quieter people are closer to truth than the loud ones are. I
Good
mean,
for
I think
you.
when I look at the biblical journey of any of the figures, particularly Christ. I mean, look at Jesus Christ's path. He wasn't yelling and screaming on the mountain. He was talking
Nope.
softly because the voice of the Lord was within him, and therefore he didn't have to shout because he owned the truth and was prepared to offer it. It's the offering of your truth that gets things done. It's not the screaming of your truth that gets things accomplished. And
Wow,
when
that's profound.
and when you say to yourself, "What's the matter with Congress?" It's what I just said. The turbulence, the rancor that has even jumped into profanity. What is
Mhm.
that about the way to get to the truth of who we are as a people in this democracy, and where the hell are we headed? Can
Mhm.
you figure out where you're headed in a moment of anger and loud voices, or are you better figuring out your future in a quiet time surrounded by those you love? Well, we know, come on, you guys know the answer.
Piece of cake. Yeah. I got to say something. Give them their moments. I want to say that, audience. I have a podcast, Doing Business, Servant's Heart. I am going to use that because that is the service you mentioned in your stories is serving. And that's what you've been doing your whole life, it sounds like, right?
Well, I think in my way,
Yeah.
I think I have a servant's heart, but it's about purpose. It's not, I think there's a difference between service that is so totally involved in ego that, you lose the purpose. I've always tried to knock my ego down, which, depending on where I am in life can be a tough thing. Sometimes the ego overtakes you for years. And then you look back and say, what a jerk I was.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think
I've been there.
we can all agree with that at certain times in our life when the ego takes
Oh,
over.
yeah.
You know what I find fascinating is you come from the streets of Philadelphia in this one particular row where you mentioned, that you were using your fists and feeling like you had to stand for something in that capacity to the man that I worked with for so long that I've enjoyed on the executive board of the Statue of Responsibility.
Yeah.
And now you going after this congressional race with a very different point of view than you had as a child. So can you tell me like what shifted and how is it that it is so indelibly imprinted on you to stand in your truth, but not have to fight with others to find a way to collaborate with instead?
Well, I think as the years go by, you go through transitions from being a pugilist to protect yourself. You're totally embattled, and then as life goes on, you realize that spirit is still within you, but needs to be channeled differently. So it's
Mm.
not that the fighter of the street kid, isn't still me. It's just that I've figured out how to channel into a way that's more effective. And that's not to say that some people don't need a punch in the mouth every once in a while.
Oh,
Okay, because we could, and I don't, and I often will say sometimes when I'm watching what's going on with politicians, like, we're just like to take that guy out into a back alley and just, bust his lip. So you have to do that figuratively.
Mhm.
But what I've learned, and I think it took a long time for me to learn it, frankly, is that being boisterous, loud, is not the way to get there. That there's so much more power in the truth told thoughtfully and meaningfully. By that, I mean, I'm doing this to reach you. I think we'll be better. I'm not doing this because I'm okay, I'm fine. But if we want to, here's an example from today. A report came out today that Social Security by 2032, all of us who are baby boomers will have to take a 25% cut in our Social Security. So
Mm.
you say to yourself, well, hold on, that's my money. I put that in. Yeah, I didn't give that to the government. I already gave to the government. So what are you going to take 25%? So you would think that the guys in Congress would get together and say, there's 62 million people over 65, 62 million, almost 20% of America that's going to be hurt by this. Do you think we could
Mhm.
get together and figure out an answer? No, no. They're talking about everything. And fixing Social Security, by the way, is not hard. So you go, could we talk about this? And that's sort of why I wanted to be still in the game so that I could say something like that, which would be, I
Mhm.
know you all think I'm crazy, but if we do these three things, we'll save Social Security. What do you all think? So is that crazy? I don't think it's crazy. I think the things that should be on our agenda are often pushed off of our agenda. And the only way we get to where we want to is to say, look, what outcome do I want? Right. And both of that, when both of your lives, that's how we get there. You say, what do you want? All right. Now, what do I have to do to reverse engineer that to get that? Who are my allies? What are my obstacles? What resources? All those things you do in outcome analysis. Government can work that way. It just doesn't seem to. Life can work that way. And whenever I ask that guy on the street corner that you had me meet in this discussion, one of the things I ask most people is, well, what do you want? What do you really, really want? And I think we all get this sort of basic wants, right? I want to I want to be healthy. I want to go to school. I want to get lucky, maybe fall in love and have a family, have some kids, right? Have enough money to make my ends meet. Those are sort of the fundamentals of what do you want. But then all those what do you wants either get done or get done and fall apart, right? Like, right, everything you think is in place suddenly unravels for good reasons, usually why. Then you have to put it back together. So you say to this person, well, I'm with you right now. Tell me what you want. You don't have to tell me 20 things. Give me two things that you really, really want. Okay, now here's the question. What are you doing each day that is helping you get towards what you really want? In your day, what percentage of that day, those minutes in that day, are you devoting to what you really, really want? And most people, when they're honest, say, hardly any. So how do you think you're going to get there? How are you going to
Yeah.
get that? And Congress is 100% that in their whole day, they spent all last night into the wee hours of the night passing one bill that could have been passed 8 months ago, right? It took them 8 months to get it. What do you really, really want? Well, I'd like to fund Homeland Security. Well, that's a good idea. And it took you 8 months to get there. How did that happen? So that's what. So, but then life's like that too. You say, what I really, really want is I want to be an author. And Bridget, you know this. And that person has a story to tell. And so you say to them, did you sit down and write 600 words a day? Did you just do that? For the next 6 months, just write 600 words a day. I'll have 75,000 words, and then I'll be able to edit something. I'll be able to make something out of this. But if you just sort of, smoke a cigar and muse about it, it ain't going to get done.
Yeah.
Well, he's got my
Well,
vote, Bridget. Got my
oh, go
vote.
ahead.
You have
Got
my
his vote.
vote.
Mine too. Mine too. Well, Steve, I don't think you're crazy or insane. I think this is needed in Congress. I think you are a voice of reason,
Mm,
because people are spending so much time fighting against that they're not actually getting things done, and all it's doing is hurting our nation. So I love the fact that you're here in the running, and I'm not in your congressional district, but I wish I was, because you would
well,
definitely have my vote. But I would like to ask you, who were a couple of indelible, I keep saying indelible today for some reason, remarkable characters along your journey as you were listening to them and you were reporting and getting to tell America and the world what was going on? Who were two of those individuals that made just an incredible impression upon you?
sure. That's something I thought a lot about. One would be William Paley. Bill Paley was the president of CBS, created CBS, one of the great early broadcasters of all time. And I had the occasion, fortunately, to spend a little bit of time with him as I worked at CBS, because to get the big job I was up for, which is to run his television station in Philadelphia, he required that I had two lunches with him. I sat with him, just the two of us, on the 34th floor of Black Rock in New York. I'm almost 30 years old, not quite. And I'm sitting there with William Paley, the creator of it all. And in those 2 sessions, what I learned from him were just, just remarkable about business, about life, about his perspective. And I'm sitting in a lunchroom that's surrounded by original Monets and Degas, not fakes, the real thing.
Oh,
And
wow.
so and in those 2 luncheons, I'm served by these young Filipino gentlemen with white gloves who are bringing us our luncheon. And so, that's one of those moments where you go, this cannot be happening to me. From that, and this is good. This is a great way to end this because it's my full story. So I grew up on the streets of Philadelphia, and now I'm sitting with a gentleman who's going to put me back in my hometown to run one of his 5 television stations in Philadelphia.
Wow.
So that's one. Number 2 is also who you'd expect. It's my father. My father Morris was a World War II veteran. He fought in Merrill's Marauders in Burma in World War II. Most of the guys that I'm going to cry now. Most of the guys that he went to war with didn't come home. It was a very difficult behind the lines of the Japanese forces in Burma, Merrill's Marauders. And most of them were either killed in combat or they died of disease. And about less than 30% of them got home.
Wow.
So when you're sitting with a dad who has such gratitude for life, what can I say? It just takes you, it's 9 o'clock in the morning and I'm in tears. It takes you to a place that is so special and so hallowed that you cannot ever forget that you're here because he survived. And somehow, through the miracles of life, my father lived so that I could be here. And if you, Steve, say, where does your service come from, Mr. Cohen? My service comes from that, because that is something you cannot forget and is part of who I am genetically. I was designed to serve, given the gift of life from a man who survived to save what I believe in. How about that as an ending?
Steve, what a way to end the show. Bridget, last comments.
Just now I'm all choked up. Just my gratitude, Steve, for you being on the show, sharing your gifts, just as you do in everyday life. I see that more in you than I do in most people, that every breath what can I do to make this happen? And it's always about good things that serve humanity. And I'm just really impressed with you as a person, and I really love you as a friend. I'm grateful to have you on today.
And good to meet you, Stephen. Thank you so much for allowing me to tell a story that I don't think I've told. I don't remember the last time I told it, and it was just wonderful to be able to be expressive and to be embraced by both of you. Thank you so much.
And audience, thank you, Stephen. I want you to vote for him. If you're in the San Diego area, look out for Stephen Cohen. If you vote for him, reach out to me. I'm going to send you a gift. I've never done this before on a podcast, but I'm going to reward you because I've just met Steve today, and I'm embracing everything that you're talking about, saying and living. I want to live the same life. So if you go ahead and do that, reach out to me and say, I voted for Steve in November. I'll take care of you. I won't forget, because I want to serve you as much as Steve is serving us. So that being said, me, Steve, and Bridget want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode of Stories Across the Table. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.